which is one. Yes, I'm sorry about that. I sort of, this is the first time I've done a stream, so expect there to be a few hiccups. So anyway, for those of you, welcome, of course. Welcome to Armageddon. If possible, I'm going to try and do a live stream every night, or every day anyway. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Daniel Decrypted, or Daniel Decrypt, as you'll find me on Facebook. My actual name, of course, is James Waterhouse. If you want to take a look at what stuff I am involved in or working on, then you can look at my website, http://danieldecrypted.com. But probably whatever is on this YouTube channel is probably going to be a little more understandable, at least at the very beginning. There's still a lot of work to do on the website. But anyway, so what is this all about? What am I going to be talking about? This is supposed to be an introduction to the live streams that are going to be happening, hopefully every night. Well, let me get myself out of the way here. You can see, well, this of course is Armageddon is the name of the channel. For people who don't know, Armageddon is a name that occurs in the books of prophecy, in the book of Revelation, a book of prophecy in the Bible. So what we're going to be talking about is Bible prophecy on this channel. Why Bible prophecy? Because as I look out in the world, I see that there's much fear. Let me see, what am I looking for here? Let me bring up something. I'm sure everybody will recognize. So I am assuming everybody recognizes what this is, COVID-19. Here's a nice map of the world, all the places where it's hitting humanity, and I mean, it's causing a lot of fear. And as a Christian, because I am a Christian, fear is not something that we're supposed to, that as Christians, that we have, really. Not compared to most people in the world. And that, of course, is because we trust and we depend on God. But there's something even more. I mean, that there's a reason why I'm bringing up prophecy. Is that prophecy says that these plagues, these things that happen in the world, that they are a sign. They are an indicator that Christ is soon to come back. And that's why, at least for as a Christian, this is not a source of fear for me, because I know my life is in God's hands. But the thing about prophecy is that prophecy makes it even less fearful to me, because I can tell from prophecy that Christ is really about to return. And that means that this world, this broken world, these diseases, death, all of these things that cause us so much pain and so much suffering and so much fear are about to end. That what we experience with COVID-19 and these other things, these are little birthing pains before the baby comes. And anybody who's a mother, I mean, obviously not a mother, but anybody who has been a mother knows that even though birth pains are painful at the moment, or at the time, that once the baby's born, basically you forget about those pains, because you're looking at this child and you're saying, wow, so amazing. And that's how I look at this world, at these pains. But I mean, for people who don't believe in God, or Christians who don't study prophecy, who don't see clearly that the end is near, that Christ is about to come, I can understand how this would cause people much fear. But that's why I'm going to be doing these live streams. Because I think that instead of fear, we should be we should be filled with much joy and happiness for what is about to come. And Christianity is not just some wishful thinking. That's what I intend to prove from the Bible, is that there's logic, there's reasoning behind the beliefs I hold, that Christ is coming soon. That the Bible reveals a supernatural presence, a supernatural force that is in the world at this time, that has been in the world from the very beginning, and that supernatural force is God, and he loves us dearly, and he just wants us to be ready when he comes back, so that when he does come back, we can go to heaven. We can go to a place that is so amazing. It's like nothing we could ever imagine. And all the pain and all the suffering that we've experienced in this world will you just won't remember it anymore. Or at least it will seem like nothing. But as I said, prophecy. There's a verse in the Bible that says, "You will know that I am God." I mean, this is a paraphrase of it. "You will know that I am God because I tell you the future before it happens." So that's what the entire intent of these broadcasts will be, is to show people that there is a God, that he does love them deeply, and that he's coming back. Some of the things we'll actually be covering, I've made a few pictures to show us what we can expect in these in the upcoming, well, I guess months, however long it takes to go through everything that I've studied, everything that is clearly shown in the Bible. But my hope and prayer is that you will see the reasoning, you'll see the logic behind everything I show you. You'll see that the Bible is its own interpreter, that the things that seem to not make sense, to just be bizarre, they're not really bizarre, but they're an encryption system. If you have an important message and you want to give it to someone you care about, someone you love, someone you want to understand the message, but you want to hide it from others who don't have that relationship with you, then you would take the message, for instance, like in the wars, World War II, messages that were sent back amongst the Germans or amongst the Allied forces were encrypted, so that the message couldn't fall into the wrong hands. But that is what God has done. In the book of Revelation, he's encrypted the times that we live in. He's encrypted it in such a way that those on the other side can't understand it. And so what I want to make available to you and to everyone who wants to know, I want to make available to you the encryption or de-encryption method. And I want to reveal what I know to be true. And once again, I ask you to lay aside your biases and think logically. Once again, not within your biases, but to follow me, to walk with me, to take this little trip with me as we go through the prophecies of the Bible, and we allow the Bible to speak for itself. If you have an open mind, and I believe if you follow the reasoning, then you'll see what I see, and your life will never be the same. Anyway, so in the months, days, weeks, whatever, however long it takes to go through this, we will be discussing a few things that are like current events, or at least past events that are not very distant in the past, but we'll also cover, well, actually in total we'll probably cover about 2,500 years. Actually, we go back even farther than that, about 6,000 years in total. But the things I want to bring up to you right now that actually prophecy deals with, well, here's a few of them. Okay, just wait, that's not supposed to be there. Let me check something quickly. Where am I? Okay, let me see what in the world. My stream, oh, now I know why. Sorry about that. Yeah, let's get these out of the way. Alright. So let's start this again. There's always a few hiccups when you're doing something new that you've never done before. Alright, so let's look. Alright, so this is part of prophecy. Pope Francis is part of prophecy, whether you want to believe it or not. And it will enter into prophecy in a very strange way. But, once again, I ask you to keep an open mind and follow my reasoning as we go through this. So, Pope Francis is part of prophecy. So is this event, which involved Kenneth Copeland, Tony Palmer, and Pope Francis. By the way, of course, Pope Francis became Pope in 2013. So that's rather recent. 7 years ago. This thing with Copeland, Palmer, and Francis, that happened in 2014, January 21st, 2014. So I just want you to know that, prophecy is not just dealing with old stuff, but it deals also with very recent things. This is a little farther back. This is as you can see from the Time article, it says the Holy Alliance between President Ronald Reagan, and Pope John Paul II. And that, of course, took place in 82, I believe it is. If I can find my little date. Oh, yes. Nope. Huh? Yes, it's 82, even though I wrote it down as 92. That occurred on February 24th, 1982, so this is a little farther back. The gay marriage that became nationwide law in the United States recently. That, of course, is part of prophecy also. That, of course, happened in, 2015? Where's my... Oh, yes. June 26, 2015. Alright, so what other things will prophecy cover? Of course, it covers 9/11. So that's, of course, is September 11th, 2001. Next we have this little thing between the Lutherans and the Catholics. The Lutherans and Catholics have been talking quite a bit for quite a while, but this little book here, From Conflict to Communion, said some things that were a little different than what they had been talking about in the past. That came out in 2013. And then they had this little meeting in 2016 between them where they suffered, where the Pope and the head of the Lutheran Church celebrated a little prayer thing. And then in 2017, on the 500th year anniversary of the Reformation, well, they basically said, we're sorry about everything. So that was a bit surprising if you are a Protestant. Alright, so that was 2017. The 30 verse, so this is 2013, from conflict to communion. And then when they got together and showed the world that they were back together again, I guess you could say, it was in the 31st of October 2017. Alright, so what else do we have that prophecy has bearing on prophecy? Spiritualism, the rise of spiritualism with these three sisters right here, the Fox sisters. And I did write it down. Yes. March 31st, 1848. That's a little farther back, but we're going to be covering... Actually, yes, we're going to be covering not just really old stuff or really new stuff, but stuff that are a little farther back. Well, what else do we have? Oh, of course, ISIS and ISIL, and well, they're all the same, but ISIS, ISIL, Daesh, anyway. They're part of prophecy. Of course, the attack on France would be part of prophecy also. And then when Pope Francis came to Washington and spoke to Congress, to the two houses, that's part of prophecy also. Once again, if you stay around, we'll eventually get to how these are part of prophecy. All I can say is there's some very interesting history that goes along with some of these things. And, if you really have open eyes when you're looking at this, your eyes are gonna bug out. That's all I can say. If you're really, there's only so far that chance can take you, you can't say everything is by chance, because then you're just basically allowing everything. You're allowing, anyway, crazy things. Alright, so what else do we have? Well, the fall of the Soviet Union. That's part of prophecy. Pentecostalism, the rise of it, or the fact that it even exists, is part of prophecy. And I guess we've come to the end of that. But there's actually more that once again, this is only an introduction. This is a peek at things that we will be discussing. So, let's get this out of the way. I guess I should put something nice in the background. The blue background probably isn't so nice. I'm sorry, I'm probably not supposed to be talking to myself like this. Alright. So what else will we be discussing? Well, if you've looked at prophecy at all before, generally it seems there probably isn't a lot of depth to it. But this is to show you that actually there's a lot more to prophecy than what we usually study. And I guess I should only give you a peek of that. But prophecy also has structure to it. And if you do not understand the structure, then you're missing a big part of it. So this is the structure of Daniel 11. When we go through this, I'll tell you how we know that there's a structure there. I'll show you step by step. Well, I can even show you step by step my entire process of finding this structure there. So there's this structure in Daniel 11, but that's not the only. Well, it's like prophecy is full of structure. All right, there's also this structure. This is in Daniel 9. This thing here is actually called a chiasm. It's also called hill climbing, because you come up the hill and then you go down the hill. You enter in and then you enter out in the reverse order, right? So A, B, C, B, A. Alright, so that's Daniel 9. Once again, when we get to it, I'll go through and I'll show you why we know that there's structure there. And it's not, well, you'll see. The one thing I can say is that when you're reading your Bible and you notice that there's a repetition of things, whether it's ideas, pictures, words, anything like that, generally it's an indicator that you're looking at structure, even though most of us have not, actually, as far as I know, none of us, unless you go to school to become a pastor, are ever shown that there's structure like this in the Bible. But it's there all over. Here's a big structure that you get in the book of Revelation in the first 16 chapters. Once again, it's not there just to make a pretty picture like this, you know. It's there to tell us more information, and if you do not see the structure, then you're missing part of the information that God is trying to pass on. So once again, if you stick with me, we're going to go through those pieces of history that I showed you. We'll see all this structure in the Bible, in the books of prophecy, and you'll know why it's there, because it all has a reason for being there. And it's when you see that there's reasoning for why it's there, then you start to understand things a bit more. And my lovely thing is coming on, so I gotta disable it. I don't know what is probably messing up the color in this. Anyway. What did I... Oh. Yes, one thing that we will be seeing also in the next little while. I don't know exactly how long it's going to take to get to this little guy, but we'll see this guy at some point in the future too. All I can say is that prophecy is a lot more complicated than we think, but at the same time it's complicated, but it's also understandable. It's logical. You can reason your way through it, and when you see that it is logical and reasonable, then that's when you're given the opportunity to really grasp onto it and to believe. When you see that these amazing things are there and you can't explain them from in any other way except to say that there is a supernatural being out there. God does exist. And all I can say is that once you see that, your life will never be the same again. And the biggest reason is because you will see that heaven is not so far away. That it's just, we're standing on the edge of eternity. So no matter what this world throws at us, COVID-19 or anything else, it means nothing when your eyes behold heaven. When your eyes are fixed on heaven and what is there, there's nothing this world can throw at you that will make you afraid anymore. Because you see that there is a better life. I mean, that's all I can say. All I can say is what I know to be true. Is that after studying, because I've studied this for, was it about 5 years now? I've studied prophecy for 5 years, although if I look back, it's probably not all 5 years that I've been studying. A good majority of those years have been in trying to shape it into a form where I can explain it to others. I mean, actually I had planned on making some feature-length films, animation, 3D animation, 2D animation, because I figured maybe that was the only way to make this stuff interesting enough so that I can share it with others. But looking at the way the world is going now, knowing what I already know, I can't do that anymore. It will take way too long. Not unless I had like a couple $1,000,000. Anyway, so I thank you for watching. I thank you for spending this time with me, for listening to me as I babble along. I'm hoping that I'll see you in the days to come. And all I can say is God bless. Keep your heart and mind open. And just follow along. God bless, and good night to you.